Good morning, everyone, and welcome this morning to this online spiritual gathering from Southminster Steinhauer United Church, where we are a spiritual community united together. We're coming to you from Edmonton, Alberta in Canada, and today is the 27th of February, 2022. Here at Southminster, we are an inclusive, and affirming community that explores an expansive spirituality. We explore our highest and best human values, and our goal then is to create a safe space for all. If you have found us this morning, if you are here, you are part of this community. You are all welcome to this virtual space. Now, for reasons of health and safety, we're still observing COVID protocols, so as yet there are very few people in the building here this morning, but I'd like to introduce you to the few that are here. First of all, one member of our ministry team, Nancy Steves, is on sabbatical, and the other ministry team member, Christopher New, is away today. He was spending time with his family following the memorial service yesterday for his dad, Jim. We have great thanks to Pam, our musician today, who also will be assisting with Time for All Ages. And great thanks to our tech crew of Andrea and Noah, without whom you would not be seeing us here today. My name is Nell Owens, and I'm offering some leadership today, along with my partner, Curtis Tufts, and we will be joined a little later by Nancy on video, so we're very grateful for that. We're continuing with our theme of winter spirituality, and this morning, we're considering part 6, a season of storms. Each Sunday when we gather, we honor the place where we find ourselves, and particularly this week, when having just started to move forward from a lot of domestic upheaval, we have borne fearful and horrified witness to events happening overseas, to the destruction of land and community in very violent and very disrespectful ways. And so it seems more vital than ever that we should acknowledge the sanctity of land and the relationships that we as a community work to establish on the land. So here at SSUC, we live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, as I said, and we acknowledge that these are the traditional meeting grounds and gathering places and traveling routes of the Métis people of Alberta, of the Inuit, and of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, and Nakota Sioux peoples. Through Treaty 6, Canadians here entered into a sacred covenant with the Miskwaciwaskehegan territory and its nations and peoples. As an act towards reconciliation, we're invited to be reminded of the nations and peoples who are a part of the sacred covenants, of treaties or agreements that pertain to whatever land we live on. And we recommit ourselves to honoring the obligations and responsibilities to all the signatories of those treaties. May we always dwell together with understanding and peace, and may we work tirelessly to influence understandings of dwelling together in peace however we can in this troubled global community that we live in. I invite you now to turn to the candle that you have waiting and to light it, as I'll light the candle that we have here in this place. May this light be a symbol of the light and love that we find in community. Whether we find ourselves together in the same physical space or together in the same virtual space. May this light be a symbol that joins the light of possibly millions of candles that will be lit globally this day to symbolize the solidarity of hope and love and support that we all find in community. This universal light, which gives us the strength to continue on in our work to share and spread the hope that we all find in community.
Nothing can guarantee life free of trials. No one will always be free from pain. But when the cold winds blow and the long waves roll and they knock me over again, and I'm laid down low, comes a caring word and an outstretched hand, and I know that I'm not alone while I get back on my feet again. Nowhere is peace assured. Conflicts will happen. Troubles must be endured. Problems solved. But when the cold winds blow and the long waves roll and they knock you over again, and you lay down low, comes a caring word and an outstretched hand, and you know that you're not alone while you get back on your feet again. And when the cold winds blow and the long waves roll and they knock us over again, and we're laid down low, comes a caring word and an outstretched hand, and we know that we're not alone while we get back on our feet again. While we get back on our feet again.
Good morning. Here at the end of Black History Month, we have a story entitled Black is a Rainbow Color. Now, I just want to spend a minute just telling you about how I came to choose this story. I looked through my bookshelves and I discovered I had not a single children's book and very few adult books about Black history, Black culture. So I went to the library and I said to the librarian, who I know, I'm looking for a book. So we spent about 20 minutes on the EPL website, and there were hundreds of children's books. I put 23 of them on hold. I've read the first 19. The other 4 are waiting for me to pick them up. And I was surprised, actually, that this close, this much involved in Black History Month, that there would even be any of these books. But there were lots of them, and that really made me sad, thinking about how little I've put into myself, how little I've put in to understanding Black history. other than the music. So today I'm going to read to you Black is a Rainbow Color, and I encourage you this week, go to the library or go online and put some of these children's books on hold. There are some wonderful stories. Black is a Rainbow Color, written by Angela Joy and illustrated by Ekua Holmes. Red is a rainbow color. Green sits next to blue, yellow, orange, violet, indigo. They are rainbow colors too, but my color is black, and there's no black in rainbows. Black is a crayon tangled in a box. Black is a feather on white winter snow. Black is the dirt where sunflowers grow. My color is black. Black are the braids in my best friend's hair. Black are the bottoms of summertime feet. Black are soft circles that spin down the street. My color is black. Black is a rhythm. Black is the blues. Black is sidewalking in spit-shined shoes. Black is the robe on Thurgood's back. Black are the trains on railroad tracks. Black are the eyes on salted peas. Black are the shadows of old magnolia trees. Black is molasses from tall sugar cane. Black is soft singing, hush now, don't explain. Black is the skillet for bread to fry. Black are dreams and raisins left out in the sun to die. Black is the color of ink staining page. Black is the mask that shelters his rage. Black are the birds in cages that sing. Black is a color. Black is a culture. Black is history. Black is family. Black is memory. Black is community. Black is the love that lives inside of me. My color is black. Black are the stones bearing witness to prayer. Black is the faith in a freedom not seen. Black was the man who gave the world his dream. Black is a color. Black is a culture. Black is the heart of a candle and flame. Black is the power of movement in pain. Black are the branches that carry my name, weaving, wrapping, lifting, laughing, hoping, grasping, quiet, strong. Our color is black. So you see, there is no black in rainbows, no black in green or blue, but in my box of crayons, black is a rainbow too.
In every life, a day will come beneath an angry sky. The earthly things we build will fall, and we will question why.
streets who shiver in the rain. For all who live in loneliness, for every soul in pain, for every child who's lost the way from every friend they knew. We pray that we may find the strength to make this promise true. Love can build a house which stands forever, stronger than a wall of steel or stone. We will be a shelter for each other in the storm. And when we come together, we'll be home. Love can build a house that stands forever, stronger than a wall of steel or stone. We will be a shelter for each other in the storm. And when we come together, we'll be home. And when we come together, we'll be
A reading for you this morning to take us into the theme of storms comes from the American poet Robert Frost. This poem is part of a collection called The Witness Tree that was first published in 1942 and which actually was awarded the Pulitzer Prize the following year. Besides the poem that I'm going to read for you, the Witness Tree also includes the poem called The Gift Outright, which Robert Frost read at the inauguration ceremony for President John F. Kennedy. As we hear these words, I think it's good to know, and it sort of enriches the meaning of the words, I think, when we know that Frost was someone who struggled hard with long bouts of depression through much of his life. And that this poem actually arose in a period or after a period where he'd experienced several very sad tragedies in his own personal life, including his daughter's Marjorie's death in 1934, his wife's death in 1938, and his son Carol, who took his own life in 1940. So he called his poem, and the title actually is almost as long as the poem itself, "Happiness Makes Up in Height for What It Lacks in Length." O stormy, stormy world, the days you were not swirled around with mist and cloud, or wrapped as in a shroud, and the sun's brilliant ball was not in part or all obscured from mortal view, were days so very few, I can but wonder whence I get the lasting sense of so much warmth and light. If my mistrust is right, it may be altogether from one day's perfect weather, when starting clear at dawn, the day swept clearly on to finish clear at eve. I verily believe my fair impression may be all from that one day, no shadow crossed but ours, as through its blazing flowers we went from house to wood for a change of solitude. Happiness makes up in height for what it lacks in length. Robert Frost.
Hello, everyone. Greetings to you from Vancouver Island, where Don and I are enjoying some sabbatical time. We're really delighted to join you on this last Sunday exploring winter, and in particular as we explore together the experience of winter storms. I want to share a story with you that comes from the first century. It's found in 3 of the 4 gospel accounts that open our Christian scriptures, telling of the story of a storm at sea. This is the earliest version of the story as it comes to us in Mark's Gospel in the 4th chapter. On that day, when evening had come, Jesus said to them, "Let's go across to the other side." And leaving the crowd behind, his friends took him with them in a boat, just as he was. Other boats were with them. And a great gale arose, and the waves beat into the boat, so the boat was already being swamped. But Jesus was in the stern, asleep on a cushion. And they woke him, and they said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we're perishing?" He woke up and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a dead calm. And he said to his friends, "Why are you afraid? Have you no faith?" In these ancient words, may we hear something new in which we find wisdom for our living.
When life grows rough and sorrows cloud the sun, when darkness deepens, efforts seem undone, when hopes must change and state old comforts free, friends, be my refuge and abide with me. In loss that weighs and burdens spirits sight, I find some solace in what little light. In those small glimmers, if I choose to see, are sparks of brighter days ahead of I fear no challenge, sadness or distress. Ills have less weight, tears less bitterness. In life and death, I'll hold fast to this friends, be my refuge and abide
Winter in our part of the world is a season that brings more than its share of storms. I don't know about you, but as a child, storms were one of the things I loved about winter. Storm warnings and predictions of snow accumulation inspired a kind of anticipation. waiting for the storm to begin, preparing for power outages, hoping for school cancellations, relishing in the gift of snow days, when time seemed to stand still and everything paused until the storm passed. And then there was the delight in venturing out after the storm to what seemed to me to be a fresh new world with the old world buried under a blanket of snow. And as a young adult, I remember welcoming winter storms with excitement, studying for exams by candlelight, sometimes getting a day or two reprieve on a paper that was due, and skiing down the middle of a main street before the plows were out to make my way to the university in Charlottetown. But somewhere along the way, winter storms ceased to be a delight and became a source of anxiety. Maybe it's those inevitable experiences we all have of our northern winters, driving through a blizzard or hitting the ditch or struggling to get your car unstuck from a snowbank, or shoveling the driveway for the umpteenth time, running out of places to pile that snow. All of that somehow displaced my childhood delight with dread. Wherever we live on this amazing planet, storms are part of our lived experience. Whether they come as hot desert winds bringing sandstorms or fueling the threat of forest fires, or hurricanes that brew at sea and bring their powerful winds and waves to damage land when they come to shore, or atmospheric rivers that flood fields and wash out roads, or tornadoes that rip through farmland and take down entire neighborhoods, or blizzards that cause multi-vehicle pileups and erase our orientation to anything familiar, or monsoons that bury entire communities under a mountain of mud, ice storms, or electrical storms that knock out power. Whatever form they take, storms are part of our planetary life. Extreme Earth events are inescapable. Wherever we live, powerful forces of nature storm and shape our planet. But storms are not only weather events, they are life events. We experience stormy seasons in our personal lives, in our relationships, in our communities, and globally in our world. There are stormy times in our common life with war and violence, where disease and danger anywhere affects all of us, everywhere. Into a stormy time in the first century, there comes a story of a storm at sea. After a long day of teaching on the hillsides or in the villages around the Galilee, Jesus and his friends set off from the familiar shores, sprinkled with those small Jewish communities, to cross the Sea of Galilee to the other side, where the shore is populated with unfamiliar Gentile communities. As they're crossing from a safe shore to an unfamiliar one, they come upon a sudden storm at sea. And as the story goes, these first followers of Jesus had every good reason to be afraid. They'd lived in the Galilee long enough to have a healthy respect for the elements. Sudden storms on the sea were legendary. Surrounded by hills and sitting deep in a basin, changes in pressure caused powerful winds to move across these waters, bringing storms seemingly out of nowhere. Every fisherman in the region would know the danger posed by such storms. Exhausted by the events of the day, the story has Jesus asleep in the stern when the storm comes up. His friends wake him because everyone's effort will be required now to get that boat so safely to shore. His response could not have been what they expected. Is he speaking only to the wind or to his friends? Or is he speaking to himself when he says, "Be at peace, be still"? The wind ceased and there was a dead calm. And then he asked an important question, the question in the eye of every storm. Why are you afraid? Is there nothing you can trust? This is the question those first listeners were living. Is there nothing you can trust? When the story was written, its readers were in the midst of a 4-year war that had turned a bad situation in their lives into a brutal situation and notched up their occupation by the Roman Empire into a full-blown occupation. A storm, not at all unlike the one that has been repeated so many times in our history. And again this week, in Russian aggression and attacks in Ukraine. The early Jewish Christian community were living not only in the 40-year shadow of the execution of Jesus, but also in the more recent execution within the last few years of Paul, one of their key leaders who'd been crucified upside down by Nero. And for the Jewish community in Jerusalem, soldiers were breaching the walls of the beloved city they thought was impenetrable and burning their way to destroy the temple, crushing the Jewish resistance and entrenching Roman imperial power. This dark and stormy night on the Galilee was a great metaphor for the chaos the fearful followers receiving this story in war-torn times were living. They too, like the characters in The Storm on the Sea, had every reason to be afraid and every reason to remember and focus on what they could trust. I notice the story doesn't have him ask, "Have you no beliefs?" He said, "Have you no faith? Is there nothing you can trust?" He didn't interrogate them about the content of their beliefs. He didn't offer any spiritual teaching about suffering or death. He didn't chastise them for the failure of their beliefs, but he questioned their loss of trust, their inability to trust the elements, to trust their skill, to trust their experience, their best efforts and instincts, to trust each other, to trust the wisdom of life. Jesus speaks into the storm around them and within them. He doesn't deny its power, but recognizes the higher power of a trust that doesn't depend on security or safety. He doesn't experience himself to be helplessly alone on a stormy night in dangerous waters. There are other boats in the area. The storyteller goes out of his way to add that detail. They are all in this together, refusing to let fear fuel his response. Jesus chooses to trust the elements, trust the craft, trust the collective capacity of experienced fishermen, trust that the storm will pass, the shore will be reached. He refuses to surrender his calm to the chaos and invites his friends to focus on what they can trust, and then with courage to do what they can. In every storm, there's much we cannot control, and yet there are always choices to make about where we place our trust and our energy. According to the teachings we inherit in our tradition, it doesn't take faith big enough to move mountains. Even faith the size of a mustard seed has the potential to shrink a storm into a swell. Even the tiniest piece of well-placed trust has the power to change our focus, shift our energy, fuel our courage. For the couple in Robert Frost's poem, who were looking back on their difficult life, there was so much harsh weather in life, but it only took a few days of warmth and light to trust that life is good, love is strong, and happiness doesn't need length to have height and depth. When kindness seems exceptional and cruelty seems normative, when fear and anger fuel our inhumanity, when power breeds entitlement, fear can easily become the captain of our ship. The storm is real, and the fears are natural. But the failure of our trust is not inevitable. There's always an invitation to embrace serenity in the midst of the storm, to refuse to give fear power over us. In the midst of every kind of weather, every struggle to get to the other side, every longing for freedom and dignity and peace, may we make our way through the storm, trusting what outweathers it, our deep trust in the power of love, in the strength of the courage of the few amid the panic of the many, with a serenity that doesn't depend on calm waters, but on giving our best energy to all that is worthy of our trust. May it be so for us today and in every stormy day to come.
It has long been the practice in communities of faith to put their words or their intentions in a way that live out their highest values, to speak words of prayer that strengthen these intentions. And I invite you now to speak these words with me or to listen as they are read for you. May we find the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Patience for the things that take time, appreciation for all that we have, and respect for those with different struggles. The freedom to live beyond the limitations of our past ways, the ability to feel loved and to feel love for each other, and the strength to get up and try again even when we feel it is hopeless. May we trust the presence of the sun even when we don't see it shining. May it be so for us this day. I'd just like to share a few invitations with you this morning. First of all, the post-gathering reflections. This takes place on Zoom following the morning gathering at about 11:15. And you can find the link as it shows you on your screen at ssucedmonton.com/online connections, or you can look in your e-messenger and find the link there. And this is a facilitated discussion just with a group of people who are looking for a little further connection on the themes of this morning. The second invitation is about Pi Day, which is the 14th of March. And you may wonder, why is this specific day Pi Day? Well, if you remember that March 14th is 314, and if you remember your high school math, you'll be able to figure this out. So March the 14th now is widely publicized as a day to celebrate and to show support in a Pi way, which is a public, intentional, explicit way, to show support for the LGBTQ2S+ community. And starting last year here at SSUC, we have held a Pi auction on Pi Day to raise funds for two organizations. The first is the CHEW Project, which supports LGBTQ2S and street youth and young adults. And secondly, Camp Dragonfly, which provides a safe space for trans, plus, and gender creative kids. Now, just a few words about how this Pi Day auction works. People donate the pies, which are either homemade or high-quality bakery pies. And then some people behind the scenes put this whole auction together, and then people go online and bid on these pies. So you go on the SSUC website, and you do that. And that information will be up on the website. And also next week, Chris will detail exactly how you go about doing that. So next Sunday, the bidding begins, and it's wild and furious bidding all week on these pies. And then next Sunday, we find out who won the pies. And the money that's raised goes both to CHEW and to Camp Dragonfly. And if you're a winner, then you pick up your pie on the 14th of March. Now, last year, this event raised $1,400. And so here's the thing to remember from today's announcement. We still need pies. It says we need 20 more pies on the screen, but actually we only now need 15 more pies. So if you're a pie baker and you'd like to contribute to this fundraiser, please get in touch. You can go through the website, or I guess there's no, oh yes, it says right on there, ssucedmonton.com/pie day. So go up there and sign up for your pie. Now, you don't actually have to make the pie until the 13th of March, or if you're really ambitious, early in the morning of the 14th, and then you bring it to the church, and the person who has won your pie comes to get it. So that's about Pie Day. And one more invitation to highlight for you is the new series that's going to start next week. And this is, again, an ongoing practice of the SSUC community to invite input from all of us to the series that are upcoming. This series is called I once believed, reframing a traditional Christian past. So this is a series that's going to explore some commonly held beliefs in traditional Christianity and consider what possible expansive alternatives there may be. And so the kind of questions you might ask yourself are, what beliefs have you found most difficult or traumatizing? Or what traditions or concepts have you spent the time and energy reshaping? Or in other words, you might say, I once believed X, and now I understand Y. So if this appeals to you, you might like to submit your responses to Chris, and again, his email is on the screen in front of you, chris@smsuc.com. So please consider doing that. And we have one more invitation that Allison will share with us.
Hello, folks. It's great to be here. My little baby's playing in the playroom, so you are well represented. I've got a gentle invitation for you for an event called Lodge. So it's going to be a 24-hour silent retreat. You won't be alone the whole time. Before and after the 24 hours, we'll be held in community, we'll debrief, we'll prep together. And of course, during the 24 hours, we may see each other around the camp. So it's held up at Narrow Lake, which has little cabins, and you and your cohort will get your own cabin. And while you're there, you can go down to the lake, you can walk the trails. And one thing I really want to highlight about this is how we take care of everything so that you feel you can access this kind of adventure. So we look after most of the food, we tell you what to pack, we teach you how to do a retreat, how to feel held by nature, seen by nature. So this isn't at all about a survival trip or being alone. It's about a spiritual pilgrimage into yourself with nature and meeting yourself at core. So we really want you to feel held in comfort and safety, so you feel you can do this kind of adventure. So there is information at emberwood.ca when you click solos, or you can get in touch with SSUC and they'll put us in touch if you want to ask any questions or find out what it will be like. So when you go to solos, you'll find the offering called Lodge, like a beaver lodge. We're gonna go into our little cabins and really feel a sense of connection with nature and a sense of being at core. So I invite you to that. There's also some new stuff posted at emberwood.ca. There's the next Forest Families Gathering if you want to bring a grandkid or a niece or nephew or your children down to Victoria Park. There's a new online ecotherapy series posted under the heading Still Point. So go check it out. There's some new offerings up there for you, and I'd love to be in touch about them if you have any questions. Thanks.
Holding fast to love.
We have come near to the end of our time together this morning as spiritual community gathered online. And we're going to change the form of our candle now from a bright light illuminating this space we're changing the form of the energy, changing it to a universal light of love that we all hold. We all hold this and we carry it forward into the world. Energy for shared community where we all hold each other. May the energy from millions of candles this day that are lit in love all over the globe help move us forward into a future of support and hope and solidarity in community. Let us move from this place to seek justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with all of creation.